Hello YouTube, this is Jesse.
Hello, I am Cheryl.
And welcome to our YouTube channel. If this is your first time watching, we are Canadian expats who live in Amsterdam for over a year and a half. You may find some videos in the past from us which features things like how to find a job in Amsterdam.
Yep. How to get an apartment in Amsterdam, how to apply for jobs in Amsterdam.
So today we're going to talk about something that we have learned and experienced over our time here in the Netherlands.
It is going to be Dutch assumptions on Canadians.
Yes, and this is based off of research from two people, our experiences. So if you disagree with us, you might be right, but this is based off of my experiences, my day-to-day here in Amsterdam, as well as working in a office. And Cheryl's experience is slightly different, but based off of her hobbies and experience running a business.
Yeah. But if you guys have more assumptions after we say this list, we'd love to hear more of them. Or like you said, if you disagree with some of these assumptions, tell me, what's the actual assumption?
Yeah.
All right, let's get right into it. Number one, we are often asked, is it really cold in Canada? Like, all the time?
And everywhere? And the answer is it's not
Nay.
true. I would say it's cold in majority parts of Canada.
Yeah.
But for cities like Vancouver, where we're from, it's not
Which
very
is
cold.
in Western Canada.
Yeah. It's not very cold. In fact, it's the same weather that the Dutch people experience in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Same fair weather, cloudy weather,
Very
lots
mild,
of rain.
lots of rain,
The only difference is it gets slightly more colder in the wintertime in Vancouver and slightly more snow.
Not really. I mean, we got snow here this year too. So it just depends on the year, but it's very similar by the Celsius, by a few points of Celsius. So it's pretty similar.
Yeah, so when we moved here a year and a half ago, we haven't really had to adjust to the change in weather because it's pretty much the same thing.
There's no igloos, not where we live. We aren't dressed as Eskimos.
Yeah, we don't even have to wear a parka.
We don't even have like snow boots or anything really, like to walk in the city. Like it barely ever snows much where we're from on the western side of Canada. So debunked.
Assumption number two.
Oh, you're from Vancouver, Canada? Wait, I know someone from Toronto.
Yeah, so when I hear that, they're implying or suggesting that I may know someone who lives in Toronto, or they think
that's the same place.
Or they think the proximity is close enough that there's a chance that we know someone that's in Toronto that they know.
Or it's like just similar places basically.
Yeah, but in reality, that's not true at all.
No.
At work, I've had to educate some of my colleagues that Canada's very big from a geography standpoint and show them on a map that how big it is from, for example, Vancouver to Toronto. Flying from Vancouver to Toronto, which is from different ends of the country, is the equivalent of traveling from Amsterdam in the Netherlands to somewhere maybe in Russia.
Yeah, it's far. Like, is it like 6 to 7
It's like it's like 5.5 to 6 hour flight from Vancouver to Toronto.
So it's a long flight and you're really geographically
and you're still going to the same country.
And we're not the same people. In fact, there is a little bit of a rivalry between Vancouver and Toronto. So we're like, it's like the west versus the east. So it's a little bit of like separation. Although yes, we do know people who have moved to Toronto from Vancouver, but it's not necessary. Like we ain't BFFs, you know. Like not with the people, we might be, but in terms of like in terms of cities, we aren't like BFFs as you might think.
It's a friendly rivalry there.
Yeah.
Assumption number three.
Oh, are you American? Are you from the United States?
So a little bit of context. If you're an American and if you're a Canadian, you will probably be able to hear the distinction in the English accent between a Canadian person and an American person.
Yeah.
But if you're European or Dutch, it might be hard to hear the difference. So oftentimes when we meet someone new, they may ask if we are American, and the answer is no.
And it's based off of our accent, I think, but also based off how we dress. Like we wear sneakers a lot. We like to wear, like girls, we like to wear tights a lot. Like not just to go to work out, but like as a fashion thing.
for myself, I wear a lot of baseball caps, which
Oh,
is
yeah,
very
yeah.
popular for Canadians and Americans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people just generally ask that question because there is a lot of American expats in the Netherlands, and there's a lot more Americans in the world than Canadian. But when we do say, hey, we're Canadians actually, we do notice a sigh of relief once they learn that we're Canadian, if you know what I mean.
But yes, we love that we're Canadian. Typically, the Dutchies seem to really love us, and there's definitely an appreciation there once they realize that we are Canadians, in fact.
By the way, we do love you Americans.
Yes.
Assumption number 4.
Oh, you're Canadian? You must be able to speak French well then.
So I'll be honest with this one. This is probably a little more common with my French colleagues than my Dutch colleagues, but I think I get this question a lot. But the answer is that's not true. In fact, we don't speak any French.
No.
We're no, we can't.
No, we
I can't
can't.
pretend. I was gonna say I was gonna try and pretend, but no. But yeah, this is not true at all. In fact, only one province in Canada, which is Quebec, that speaks French really well. But that is a French province. Most people just speak English, and very few speak French.
Now, it is supposed to be a bilingual country. French is a national second language, and it is taught pretty much all of elementary and then into like high school. You can pick French as a second language. People have to do it mandatory for like the first 1 or 2 years. But typically the education system there in terms of like a normal public school per se, like private school, I can't speak for. We both went to public schools and we both took, what was required for French, and we didn't keep learning. If most people go through that route, and if you did go through that route, you typically don't really retain your French because it's just, the memorization game. Like there's no really real practice involved, and the way they teach it is just not really viable to actually learn the language.
The small percentage of Canadians outside of Quebec that speak French really well most likely grew up in a French family background, or they went to French immersion school during elementary and high school, which that means they learn all of their subjects in school in French.
Which that is very available like throughout the country. So you can just put your kid into a French primary school, which is a great option. But we were not from there, so we don't know French, unfortunately.
Assumption number 5.
You're from Vancouver, Canada? Oh, I've always wanted to visit Canada.
Generally speaking, I've noticed that Dutch people are very impressed with Canada, whether it's the nature, including the mountains, the waters, the greenery, or just the nice Canadian people that live in the country. As well, in terms of context, I think Canada and the Netherlands just have a great relationship dating back to the World War II. When the German Nazis occupied the country, and Canada, the military helped liberate the country. There's a lot of still
like those ties,
the strong ties from history, and it's just when
just
people think of Canadians in the Netherlands, it's always positive.
And I guess we're just really nice people. So I think like the Dutchies here seem to really love nature, going to parks and all that stuff. And in Canada, we're really all about that. We're all about nature. So we're very welcoming to people who love nature there. So definitely, yes, I would say a place that you need to visit, especially in Vancouver. It is very beautiful there. So great assumption.
Assumption number 6.
Wait, you're from Canada? Why would you move to Amsterdam of all places?
A couple of reasons. History and culture is one of it. Canada is a very young country, just 150 years of history.
Just over,
but if you compare that to Netherlands or any country in Europe, we're just babies. So there's a lot to learn by living in Amsterdam and
this side of the world, basically.
And that leads to our second point is the ability to travel very easily in non-COVID times to other countries in Europe, whether it's Belgium, Germany, France, etc.
Well, as we talked about earlier, it takes just 6 hours to fly to, not even to the other side of Canada, just to the middle of side to Canada. So it's not that easy, and it's very expensive to travel around Canada. So it's definitely a big perk to move to Europe.
Another point of why we moved to Amsterdam is the lifestyle and pace. compared to Vancouver in Canada, it's faster paced that we find, and also the lifestyle is different. We have to drive everywhere to get from point A to point B. Walking won't get us anywhere, and there is no biking culture. Whereas in Amsterdam and in the Netherlands, our bicycles are our main mode of transportation.
Yeah, which is pretty awesome. And
So-
it's unheard of. In fact, people in Vancouver or in Canada in general hate bikers. And we were one of those people because we drove majority of the time. So it's really changed our perception living here about bikers.
And then the last one is very unique to the Vancouver city, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think you might have a different answer if you moved from Toronto. But there's definitely more professional opportunities in Amsterdam than in Vancouver. There's more, that's one point. And second, there's a more variety of different opportunities in Amsterdam. So if you work in the tech space, Amsterdam's a great hub for you to look for a great job that you'll really enjoy.
Absolutely, and it's way more connected internationally, I feel like. There's a lot of headquarters based here in Amsterdam of a lot of international, even North American companies here. So because of that, there's just more job opportunities here. All right, we are on to our bonus assumption.
Yes, one more.
You're Canadian, your Prime Minister, he's a snack.
Yes, we get a lot of handsome comments about our Prime Minister. Here's a picture.
Yeah. He's pretty good looking, we have to admit.
And that's often a door opener or a starting point of talking about Canadian politics.
Yeah, which we are not getting into today because we're keeping this light and fun. But yeah, that's really the many assumptions that people tend to ask us or talk about or make assumptions about when we meet them here in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So
if you have any other Dutch assumptions about Canadians that you would like to share, please leave a comment below.
yeah.
And if you have an assumption that you want to verify or validate with us, please also leave one below.
Maybe we'll make an assumptions number 2 video. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. And we have lots of really exciting videos coming up. But before we get there, watch our old videos if you haven't seen them yet. Again, we make videos for expats, specifically Canadian or American expats that are thinking about moving to Amsterdam, specifically in the Netherlands. We talk about life here, how to move here, all of the administrative stuff, and yeah, all the good stuff. Coming from a freelancer, business owner, and also from someone who works in corporate.
So please give us a like, subscribe to us if you haven't already.
Yeah.
And we'll keep coming with more content for you.
See you in the next video.
See you later.